Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back to the Arrow After Show. It is, of course, a Wednesday, January the 15th. This is for Arrow Season 2, episode number 10. We are back from their mid-season break. Thank goodness. I don't like going too long without Arrow. I missed the show. I missed the show while we were on break. I don't mind telling everybody that. My name is John Campea, and I'm your host, I guess, for this episode of the Arrow After Show. Thank you so much for joining us. And joining me, of course, as always, first of all, sitting over here to my left, or to my right, first of all, we have Kaori. Hey, Kaori.
Hi.
And, of course, Ann.
What's up, everybody? We missed you guys so much.
Mm-hmm. We miss doing this show.
Yes.
We miss doing it with you guys here joining us. And hello to everybody who's already joining us live in the chat board. You're going to notice I'm still sick. I got sick over the Christmas holidays, and I still have this damn cough. So forgive me if I'm not chewing gum. I'm actually sucking on lots of halls and lots of to keep myself from choking and gagging too much. Fantastic holiday I had. I'm going to share this with everybody. So while we were on break from Arrow, I want to share for those of you guys who watch us on the after show here that in Las Vegas, Nevada, they had the annual International Academy of Web Television Awards, for which I was actually nominated for a couple of awards. I was nominated for Best Host and for Best News Show for my show AMC Movie Talk. Which is what I do. That's my day job, working, running things for AMC Online. And lo and behold, we won Best News Show. I'm going to bring up a picture here. Here's a picture of me and two of my staff, Aaron Darling and Dennis Zen, who were with me at the awards with our trophy there when we won the award. I don't know if you can tell, I'm making this big happy face there. But I was actually sick as a dog. As soon as we finished taking our pictures and being interviewed on the red carpet after the award win, I had to be helped back to my room.
I just want to say I love your award show outfit.
I know. Okay, there's a couple things here.
Best
Number
dressed red carpet.
We got there. I didn't know what the dress was going to be like at this place. And we get there and all these people are in suits and some people are in tuxedos. And I had no idea it was going to be that formal. But the other thing was I was just way too sick to care. I just put on a warm sweater, and that's it. And that would have to be it for me. Good for me. So anyway, so now we are back doing our Arrow After Show. Did you guys do anything memorable? Well, Ann, I know you did. But
yes.
Kaori, you had a very interesting
break.
What have you been doing in between Arrow episodes?
I went to Paris, and I did a lot of Paris things, ate a lot of French food, went to Disneyland Paris, and Disneyland Paris actually has loops in pretty much all of their rides. So there are some things that we can bring over here. It was awesome. I stood by the Mona Lisa and Venus de Milo. I don't know how they say it in English. And yeah, it was just a really, really fun trip.
I want you to say hello in French.
Bonjour.
Yay.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Jean. Comment t'appelles-tu?
Kaori.
Ça va? So anyway, and Ann, you went to Canada.
I learned to be Canadian, eh?
It was your first time ever in snow.
Yes.
It was really cute.
It was a white Christmas.
I saw all those pictures.
We had lots of
We were
cool
on the
pictures.
opposite side of where Arrow shoots in Toronto area. So we did not run into Mr. Amel, but I'm sure they were all having their own good holidays as well.
No, Steven, I believe, he tweeted me just after the mid-season break, and he told me that they were going somewhere warm for. I don't think they were going back up to Vancouver for their holidays.
Yeah.
Had I not been home to Canada for like 5 Christmases, I would have gone somewhere warm too. But I hadn't been home for Christmas in like 5 years, so it was time for me to go home. Anyway.
We're always somewhere warm anyway, so.
Yes. I think it's time for us to talk about some Arrow. So thank goodness Arrow is back. One of the first things before we get into the positive and negatives, I'm going to let you guys know how we would do this. First, we're going to talk about the things we liked about this episode. Then we're going to talk about some of the things maybe we didn't like about the episode. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw the rest of the show over to the chat board, where we're just going to take questions and comments from you guys in the chat board. So don't start putting in your questions just yet. But in about 10 minutes or so, I'll tell you to start putting in questions. Ann will keep track of the questions over there. And then we'll just, for the second half of the show, just address your questions. But before we get into things we liked about the show, I just want to throw this in. It was kind of neat just seeing them start off with the new mask. The new mask is there. And even his little thing, I must, become something else. And it fades to him in the Arrow outfit. He's wearing the mask already. So it was kind of cool to see that there wasn't a big transition. Barry gave him the mask, and now he's wearing it. And it's just part. So that was kind of cool to see.
They should have spent a whole episode just slowly putting the mask on his face.
No.
You don't like that idea?
I like that they just dove into it and he's wearing the mask.
Just joking.
So, Ann, let's start with you on that side of the table. The things you liked about this episode 10 of Arrow.
I couldn't be more excited that it's just back. Like you said, John, I miss the show. Just miss seeing these characters. They left us with a lot of kind of unknowns, and they picked right up where they left off in episode 9. Some of the things I liked, obviously, the stunts are getting better and better. And I had written that down as a note, and I wanted to point that out before I forget that I think they're getting some really good stunt coordinators for the show.
Yeah.
And they're pulling off some really cool things, like when he hops off the bike, had his feet dragging on the floor, when he had the whole trick arrows in the beginning. I thought that was really neat. I'll have to tell you guys, I liked the whole episode. It wasn't as energetic, but we'll get to the negatives. Some of the things I liked, I love seeing Simon Tam, aka Shrapnel, in this episode. I was really hoping for a Firefly.
For
Simon.
those who know, that's Sean, I think you pronounce his name Mayer or something like that, who is, of course, the good doctor and who's River Tam's brother in Firefly Serenity. It was so cool seeing him in there.
It was such a tease, though, because that River, Isabel Rochef, exists in the Arrow universe. Unfortunately,
I totally didn't even put that together in my head. It's like, oh yeah, both the Tams are here now. River and the Doctor are both on the show now. I didn't even put that together. I don't know why.
That's exactly why I thought they kind of casted him, because that would make for a really cool thing for Firefly fans. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see them together in this episode, but maybe in the future. A lot of stuff with Brother Blood going on, a lot of development in that character that I'm getting really excited for, and I think they're setting up for the second half of the season. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more to see. And again, just the triangle, the Diggle, Felicity, and Oliver interaction always gets to me. I love those.
Kaori?
All right. So my notes. I like the fact that they made Laurel useful in this episode. She's actually the only one that's suspicious of Sebastian Blood, and she's the one that figures out what's going on with him and that he's fishy. And I think that she was actually pretty good in the show for once. I like the fact that Roy's healing and powers are starting to show, and I think that's great. I like the tension in the Olicity world between Oliver and Felicity. I think that the buildup of their tension is making their relationship more interesting and entertaining. And I also like the island scene that Slade is also becoming a different person, and he's also not just physically but mentally being affected by Mirakuru. So I liked all of that, and I also wrote the mask as well.
Yeah. There are several things that I really liked about this episode. Number one, I like the fact I like when a show is either in mid-season break or in between seasons, when they don't just ignore the fact that we have, as viewers, have been waiting for a little while for the show to come back. So they come back in. How much time did they say had lapsed? 5 weeks?
5 weeks.
Yeah, they said 5 weeks. I like the fact that they said, they start off with Felicity gone out of town. Mm-hmm. They said it's been 5 weeks. They understand that for us as an audience, time has lapsed, and so they had time lapse in the show. And I think that's thoughtful of the showrunners, actually. I think that's and they use that to their advantage in it. I think that was very cool the way they did that. I like the fact that they are forming this bond between Arrow and Sebastian Blood.
Yes.
And he's so convincing. Here's the thing about Brother Blood. He's so convincing that as an audience member, I find myself wondering, well, maybe he really is a good guy. Wait a minute, no, we've seen what he's doing. Yeah. We've seen the evil plans he has. But he's so convincing that even as an audience member who knows what's going on, I catch myself going, well, maybe he is really a good guy. And I agree with you completely. It was nice seeing them have Laurel be functional again, because one of my big complaints of the season so far is that Laurel's been useless. The character itself has just been there, just kind of floating around. And in this episode, there was function to the character. There was purpose to the character. And she wasn't nearly as neurotic as she was. She was a little bit back more to the season 1 Laurel. And I like that. I found myself getting, because, if you guys remember me saying before the mid-season break, I was saying, I really used to like the Laurel character. I want to like the Laurel character again. I hope they can get her functional again. And look, it's just one episode, but to me, it felt like a good first step.
I agree.
That they did that. The flashback to the island stuff, very good. It's really good seeing Slade starting to lose it. That whole scene where he does the Darth Vader with Ollie was very cool. But at the same time, you see that he hasn't totally given into it. He catches himself after being hit in the head with a log, of course. He kind of catches himself. I really like that. I even didn't mind Thea's boyfriend. Roy. I even didn't mind him so much. Maybe it's because he didn't actually have that many lines. I don't know what it was, but you're right. The fact that they're slowly starting to show that he's manifesting some superhuman traits because of the drug. I like the way they didn't rush into it.
Right.
One of the things I was afraid they might do this episode with Roy is just rush into it and show Roy lifting cars over his head and blah, blah. But they're taking their time with it, and I like that. So that was pretty cool. And like Ann, you said, I love the banter and the dialogue between the trio. And that last scene, I'm going to fill you in on a little something here. Not safe for work, but as Felicity and Oliver having that conversation at the end, she's like, were you apologizing to me or were you talking to your quiver? And he's like, I never snap at my quiver. I mean, that's
so funny.
The delivery was done so well. But when they're standing up and he puts his hand on her shoulder and he's saying stuff like, don't worry, like it almost felt romantic, but they were talking about another guy. Don't worry, Barry's going to wake up and you'll be there. I said to the girls, I said, pretending to be Oliver going, don't worry, Barry will wake up. And if you want to practice on your blowjob skills to make sure you're really good when he wakes up, I'm here for you. But
so filthy. But
go ahead.
I mean, I have to agree with both of you guys. I think my New Year's resolution this year was acceptance. An acceptance of Roy and an acceptance of Laurel. And they really, I didn't have to try very hard to accept them in this episode. They are both slowly showing some sort of purpose in the storyline. And I really like it. I totally agree with you guys.
Yeah, totally agree. All right. For now then, let's get into, hey, not everything can be perfect. So let's talk about the stuff that didn't quite work for us this episode. Carrie, let's start with you.
I didn't really have much in terms of negatives, other than for me, for a mid-season premiere, it was a little slow, except towards the end. I wanted it to be more, a little more fast-paced because they left us off on such a great note. And I also wasn't too fond of Shrapnel, the way he was depicted. I wanted him to be a little more dangerous, I think. And that's probably my only negatives I really have for this episode.
Ann?
I thought it was really low energy. I'm kind of piggybacking off of what you said. I expected a little bit more coming in. I know that they have a lot of story to tell, and I'm sure this was just where they wanted to pick up. But I for having such a long break, I wanted lots of action. And I was like you, I was hoping they would have a better villain than Shrapnel. Mm-hmm. Because I think it's really hard to take the shrapnel from the comic books and make him into this human character, because how can you take an organic, a guy made of organic metal and make him into some human being? So they did their best with transforming him into this world, but I think it was kind of a waste of a character. There were little things that kind of bothered me in this episode, and I don't know if it's because we've had a break and I was finding things, but like in the beginning, why all of a sudden is Arrow starting to sound a lot like Batman in The Dark Knight? His voice has gotten a lot lower and deeper.
Well, yeah, I said at one point, I said at any second I feel like Arrow's about to say, "Swear to me," but he didn't. But that was just but it didn't last long. It only happened for those couple of seconds.
Yeah, I know, but it's just I don't know if I've just never noticed, or he really did. His voice did change this this mid-season. But criminals, all the criminals for whatever reason, like they can't shoot their targets. They all need target practice is what I wrote on my notes. So it's all little things that I was picking up.
Yeah, like a couple times through the episode, I did say, throughout the show, it is amazing how much Arrow just relies on the bad aim, on bad guys' terrible aim. Because that opening shot when the car's racing at him and Arrow's just standing there like this, as the guy takes out his gun and he's shooting at him, he's driving.
Like
Arrow's
shooting
just,
here, Arrow's over there.
Damn, Arrow's pretty damn confident. That dude's just gonna miss.
Okay, and then was anyone else bothered by the fact that Arrow was going to that burning building to save people, yet he had to carry his bow in one hand?
I thought about that.
I didn't even think about that.
I thought about that, but you know what I thought? Well, first of all, when they're listening to the police scanners and they're saying, there's still people trapped on the 5th floor. And, then Oliver gets all serious looking, turns around and grabs his bow. I'm like, what the hell? What, you're going to fight the fire with your arrow? But then I thought, we're starting to see more trick arrows. Like right at the beginning when he gets the guy out of the car, he does that whole shoot the arrow, loop him around the feet, drag him up. I'm not going to be surprised if he's got some kind of fire retardant arrow.
Fire extinguisher
No, seriously.
That's funny.
I bet he does. And
I didn't even think about that.
So at first I thought, well, this is ridiculous as he's taking his bow to a fire. But wait a minute, this is Green Arrow. He probably has some kind of anti-fire arrow just in case he needed it.
The only thing I could think of why he brought it was he was thinking that maybe the person who started the fire was still in the building and he would have to protect the people. I had no idea. I was just, why are you going to have one hand on your bow when you wanted to pick people up and save them from the building?
He can put it on his back. He does have a holster for it, right?
Yes, that's true.
That's true. And I think the last thing that I have written down is that in the end scene when Laurel is speaking with Maya, who we don't know who she is until they have this conversation, she automatically, I don't know if it just didn't resonate with me, but it automatically clicked for her when Maya said that I saw Sebastian's father die because I was there. Is that enough for you to determine that she's the mom?
It determined it for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I was the only one.
It did, yeah. It clicked for me.
Okay, so that was it. Those were my negatives.
Oh,
all little nitpicky stuff.
Yeah, well, can I just add a couple more nitpickies? I thought Diggle was shot or at least wounded.
He was.
Yeah, through the shoulder.
Yeah, but then he seemed pretty fine.
Oh, he had
the arm brace on.
Oh my gosh. So maybe that was my discrepancy. Okay. And I've noticed that Sarah Lance has the Lance anxiety face. She has that face, that like concerned anxiety face that all the Lances have.
Actually, you know what? You're absolutely right. Which is actually good acting. I mean, I
suppose
they're
supposed to.
Yeah.
So that was a positive, actually. But yeah.
For me, my negatives, a couple of them are just personal, and I'm sure there's good reason for these things. It's just that, I was kind of hoping. Number one, we leave off at the mid-series cliffhanger with realizing that Slade is the puppet master here. Mm-hmm. He's the guy behind this all. He is the guy. And I was really hoping, coming back, picking up this season, that we would be exposed to him here. I was really hoping Slade would be a part of this episode. And he was in the flashbacks, but I wanted him present in the day. I wanted a little bit more of what his plan was revealed. And I understand that the showrunners, they've got their plan, and they know what the layout is, and they know when they have to have things start to happen. Just for me personally, I was kind of hoping to see that. It was also a little bit I'm going to agree with you guys. The energy level was a bit low, especially, and you know what? I probably wouldn't think that if it weren't for how intense the mid-season finale was.
Right.
I probably wouldn't think that it was low energy at all. But coming out of that mid-season finale, which was so incredible, I felt like the energy level was a bit low. But honestly, for me, that's all the negatives I can think of. I think it was a very solid episode. I think it progressed the narrative of the story. We got a lot more into Brother Blood. Really, more than anything else, this was an episode about giving us more insight into what's going on with Brother Blood. I think they did a good job with it. Was Simon a little underused? Was Simon Tam a little bit underused? Yes, he was underused and underutilized, but they didn't kill him.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's not dead.
He's not dead, so that means they can go back to this character if they want at some point. Overall, good episode. I would have liked more trio interaction, but honestly, every episode of Arrow, out of the 42 minutes of runtime, if you made 20 of those minutes just... Diggle, Felicity, and Oliver standing in a room bantering, I would eat it up.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I really, really would. I would eat it up. But really, that's all the negatives. A nice pickup for the season. It made me look forward to the next episode, which is exactly what every episode should do. So, big thumbs up for me. I'm really happy with it. So, before we go to the chat board, and you guys, if you have questions, now we'll throw it open to you. Start putting in your questions there. Just a formatting issue. So Ann knows you're asking a question. Put question dash and then put your question. So that way Ann can pick those out a lot easier.
Kosal Seek has done a good job of putting question dash
something.
So,
but before we get to the questions, you guys have anything else you wanted to add about the episode?
Yes. Where is Cyrus Gold? I have that on my notepad.
Well, I mean, Oliver said they killed him.
Thinks he's dead, but he's shot with the Mirakuru, right? So Cyrus Gold.
Well, that's not an immortality drug, though. I mean, you
can
still be killed.
I know. I do know that.
But I didn't think he was dead. But
yes.
Oliver said he's dead. Maybe he is dead, or maybe he's just hidden somewhere.
No way. Nobody ever dies in this show, right?
Am I the only one that finds humor when Oliver is talking to somebody like Officer Lance or Sebastian Blood, and they turn around for a quick second and come back, and he suddenly is super gone, like he just disappeared? I feel like that's a superpower.
I just choose not to think about it.
Yeah, this is one of those things you just don't bother worrying about.
I think it's funny.
And then just a little bit of a shout out to the Felicity people, because I know there was some good interaction, some good dialogue between Felicity and Oliver in this episode.
Very good.
And whether you took it as their relationship is growing into love or friendship or more, great, because the relationship is strong, and that's what that dialogue at the end proved. So I really enjoyed that as well.
I will piggybacking on that. I think he defined the relationship when he said we're partners.
Yeah.
So
he totally wanted a blowjob. I'm just.
He probably would have still taken that.
He probably still would have taken a blowjob. Yes. Okay. Anyway, we got lots of questions coming in on the chat board. Let's spend the next half of the show just taking the questions from the chat board. And what do we have?
See what happens when I don't pay attention to the chat. Now I've missed all these questions here. Okay, so Corey Robinson asks, will Barry first use his powers on Arrow or the first episode of his pilot show?
Potential show.
Yeah,
they're shooting a pilot.
They are shooting a pilot. Now remember, a pilot does not mean it's been ordered for series. It just means they've ordered a pilot. Lots of pilots get made in this town. Lots of pilots, and the vast majority of them don't actually get picked up to series. So, but they are doing a pilot. That's a good sign. I have a feeling we are going to see this first use of his power in the pilot. I think that's what they want to use it for. That's where they want to launch it. So my feeling is that we are not going to see Flash use his powers on Arrow, at least for a while. Because I think it's going to happen first for the pilot, and I don't know how long it's going to take them to do the pilot. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that we're going to first see his powers on his actual show. I think Felicity might have a cameo there, and there's probably a reason why he's in a coma on this show. So I think that's probably why.
Well, yeah, it's the excuse for them to not have him on the show while they get the pilot ready.
Right.
That's just he's in a coma. Perfect built-in excuse.
Yeah.
I agree with you both. I think that the writers are They love to tease the fans, though, so I'm sure we will see a lot of more hints of Flash as we did when Barry first appeared in Arrow. But yes, the powers, I think they will save those for the pilot. The next question comes from Tyler Pauser, who asks, did you guys watch the promo for next week? We saw present-day Slade in his full Deathstroke armor.
Yeah. Very exciting stuff. That's really all I have to say.
We saw it.
It was very fast-paced promo, which I look like it's going to be a lot more intense than this current episode. So, yeah.
I'm a little sad that I'm not going to be able to join you guys next week to talk about how awesome Deathstroke's costume is going to look in next week's episode.
Yeah, Anne's leaving me for like a week. She's going to San Diego for like a big work thing.
But it looks good from the split-second clip that we saw.
We'll have Steve and Amel here then.
Right?
Yeah. Me, Carrie, and Steven. Yeah, that's perfect. We got an empty chair. No problem.
I'm sure he'll do fine.
Okay, what else we got?
Hector Zeroni asked, did you catch Laurel eating pills at the start? Yes.
I did not, but they did.
And she stole them from Lance.
Well, actually, that's the funny thing, because at first, when we first see Laurel taking the pill, it's out of a prescription bottle, and I just assumed she was taking a medication, like you would take a medication. But then Anne pointed out, that wasn't her pills, that was her dad's pain pills.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay, so that magically gone substance abuse has very subtly reared its head again, which is, once again, good to see that they're staying consistent with that, and that problem hasn't just suddenly magically disappeared. So that was good to see.
Mm-hmm. Then we have it under good authority that they will be elaborating on this drug problem.
Yes, we do have it on good authority, but we can't go into what authority that is, but yes.
Okay, so Trish L. Austin says, what about Diggle, guys?
What about Diggle?
He is freaking amazing. He took a bullet for Felicity. Come on.
I love him. He is always the voice of reason for Oliver. He's always honest and lets him know the truth. Like, if Oliver's being out of line towards Felicity, Diggle lets him know. He kind of sets a subtle but blatant at the same time truth to Oliver. Always brings him back to reality, brings him back in line. He's the best.
Okay, first of all, Diggle is awesome. Mm-hmm. He is one of my favorite characters in this show because he's witty, he's badass, there's lots of great things to him. However, I will say this. When the trio are in the Arrow Cave, for lack of a better word, and, they find out where the bomber's at. Okay, and they expect the bomber is going to blow up the city square where this big rally is happening. And Oliver goes, okay, I'm going to go to this bad guy's place. Diggle's like, you want backup? Like, I'll come with you. I'll come get this guy with you. And Oliver's like, no, man, you go hang out where the bomb is going to go off. Honestly, he says to him, no, I need you down in the square. And I'm just expecting Diggle to go, what are you talking about? We have established and we fully expect a bomb to go off here, right? Right. Okay, so we're clear on that. And you don't want me to come with you. You want me to go hang out. Just hang out there, right? That to me was a little bit odd.
Don't wear any protective gear either, But go
Don't
digging
bring
around
kind of
also.
Bomb outfit. Don't wear a helmet outfit. Just go hang out, mix in and mingle. It'll all be good.
Okay.
Oh God.
Clara Lima asks, do you think Oliver will reveal himself to Roy directly, or will he take his time? You guys go.
Ooh, that's...
Kaori?
Oh gosh. Okay. I think that Roy Harper, as he's getting stronger, he is going to resume his hunt for Arrow, and that is how they're going to unite. And I think he is going to find out before Oliver finds out about him. That's what I think. It's tough.
I do think they're going to take their time with it. I don't think it's going to happen imminently. That is one of the nice things about this show is that you get some shows like this where a certain person has a secret identity, and then it seems like every single episode, 15 more people are finding out about the secret identity. Which is kind of annoying, and I like that they're not doing that. I think they're going to take their time with it. A lot of people seem very convinced that they know what's going to happen with Roy. and which direction they're going to go with Roy. That Roy's going to be this, he's going to end up being Red Arrow, or he's going to end up being Speedy, or he's going to end up being this, that, or the other. Everybody seems to have this theory that they know what's going to happen to him. I still think there's a very strong possibility Roy doesn't survive to the end of the season. I still think there's a very strong possibility Roy doesn't survive to the end of the season. And I know they set it up like this, and I know, well, in the comics they do that, and all, but none of that's relevant.
True.
I think the showrunners have proved they are going to do what they think is best for the show, and they're going to keep us on our toes. I mean, if nothing else, the death of Tommy proved to us that anybody in this show can die at any time, and they're going to keep us on our toes. And I still have a feeling, I'm not willing to bet money on this at all, but I still got a feeling Roy doesn't survive to the end of the season. I just a gut feeling. I'm probably dead wrong. I'm probably 1,000 times wrong. Probably. I'm just saying, I'm not as convinced as everybody else seems to be that they know where Roy's going to go. I'm not so sure. What do you guys think?
I think he is going to survive, and he's going to become a more important character. He might even be the fourth person in their trio, especially since his relationship with Moira, and the fact that we know that Moira is...
Why does everybody think a good threesome needs
not
to
Moira,
be a foursome?
Thea.
Not every threesome needs to be a foursome. Threesomes
Some
are
things
just
need
fine.
to stay in threes.
Well,
Some things need to stay in threes.
so Roy's relationship with Thea, and the fact that Thea is actually Merlin's daughter, and then there's going to be a whole thing there where he's going to have to go save her with his new powers, and Oliver might have to join forces with him. And I don't know. These are all theories, but I don't think he's going to die.
I don't think Roy is going to die. I think the writers know exactly where he's going. From what I know the writers have all of the characters in mind that they are going to save and how they're going to end up by the end of the season. So I'm sure Roy is on that list of alive and dead. I think Roy's on the alive side. I think Oliver's going to take his time. I don't know that Oliver will ever reveal himself to Roy.
Really?
As the Arrow.
That's
I don't
another
know.
option. That's another option.
I do think that Arrow will be, obviously, a lot of people have been saying it in the chat, that Arrow will be the one to train Roy. And I am not so convinced that Roy is going to be a good guy. I actually think that he might be on the dark side. Because one of the side effects of Mirakuru is that it messes with your head. And Roy does have a history of being a criminal on the streets or whatever.
So maybe the Mirakuru makes him a good person.
But that's what Thea is for.
I mean, look what it did to Slade. It took a guy who was honorable and Oliver's friend and all this kind of stuff, and it turned him into something else. Now, of course, there might be other circumstances that led to Slade becoming who he is now that we'll learn throughout the flashbacks. But I just don't think it's all cut and dry as a lot of people think it is about Roy. All right, we got a lot of other questions. What's next?
Okay, so Stick Havoc 88 asks, do you guys think that Oliver will hesitate to put Slade down come the time when they fight?
Yes, I absolutely do. I think Oliver, from the beginning of this season, has said he is trying not to kill anyone unless necessary, like to save Felicity's life, of course. So if and when he realizes that Slade is, his nemesis, I don't think he's going to kill him the first time he is able to.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think he hesitates all the time, though. He has that thought before he has killed anyone, I think, from what we've seen so far. So I wouldn't doubt it, especially with the history that him and Slade have.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Mason Hakimi asks, Stephen R. McQueen has teased for a while that he will be Nightwing. Is Nightwing going to make an appearance in Arrow?
There's been a lot of rumors, but nothing concrete or significant. And I don't know. I mean, they've referenced Bloodhaven, but that doesn't mean anything just because you reference something. That doesn't mean anything. It's possible. I mean, he's Nightwing is a character who would fit in very well with this Green Arrow universe, because the Green Arrow universe, up until now, the Flash notwithstanding, is a universe of regular people doing extraordinary things. It's not a bunch of supernaturally powered people. It's a bunch of regular people, whether it's been Huntress or Arrow himself or Diggle. even, with Slade, it's explained by this old Japanese, scientific formula and chemical. The Nightwing fits into that. Are they going to go there, though? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced of it. But it is a character that theoretically fits in well with this universe.
Yeah, I think they tend to bring out a lot of characters at random, but practically. And it's a very big possibility, but I don't know for sure yet.
I'm going to say yes. Yeah. I'm going to debate you on this, honey, and say yes, because I've read multiple times from the interviews with the writers and with Stephen Amell himself that say they never make reference to a character that they're not planning to bring on the show.
Well, but they've never referenced Nightwing
yet.
That's the point. Bloodhaven isn't just a Nightwing thing. That is a place in the DC universe
that Nightwing patrols. Yes,
that Nightwing is connected with, but they have never mentioned Dick Grayson. They've never mentioned Nightwing. They've never mentioned another nighttime vigilante. So you're right. They've never referenced a character that they haven't then gone on to use, but they haven't referenced Nightwing yet. I mean, it's possible, though. It's absolutely possible. All right, what's next?
And one more thing. Stephen R. McQueen, he's been tweeting that he wants to be Nightwing, which is kind of cool that he watches a fellow CW show. But how is he going to do that when he's still alive in the Vampire Diaries? That's just a question.
That's possible.
Okay, so the next question comes from Darren J. Seeley, who asks, will Detective Lance ever figure out Oliver is the Hood? The rooftop meeting, a mask doesn't cover Oliver's face. Weren't we kind of laughing about that?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
First of all, I said that they're meeting on a roof, right? You got Detective Lance and you got Arrow, and they're meeting on this roof. That's got to be the lowest roof in the city because the building is surrounded by all these other buildings that are way taller than it. And I said during the show, doesn't it bother anybody that they're meeting on this rooftop that's in full clear view of 1 million windows of all these buildings surrounding them? I mean, to answer your question, though, I believe that the next person up to learn Oliver's identity is Detective Lance. I believe he's the next up that will learn. I don't know if he's going to learn in the next 2 or 3 episodes. Pardon me. I don't know if he's going to learn it by the end of the season, but I kind of get the feeling that he's next up. He is the Commissioner Gordon in many ways to Oliver's Batman in many ways. Of course, Gordon doesn't actually know Batman's identity, but I think he will be the next up to learn his identity. What do you guys think?
I think that I've always had kind of a problem with concealing Oliver's identity because before it was green makeup and now it's the mask. But I've come to terms with the fact that just for the sake of the show, that is enough of a guise for Oliver. And that's not what's going to reveal him. I'm not with you, John, on this. I don't think that Officer Lance is going to find out about him for a while. I think it's going to be Roy Harper sooner than Officer Lance. Yeah.
Okay. All right, what's next?
I just wanted to point out a comment that Campbell Vera says, my money is on Thea dying this season.
I wouldn't argue with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with you.
All right.
It's possible.
Next question is from Jonathan Radit, who asked, do you think Summer Glau is the mystery woman from season 1 that wants to shoot the plane down from the island scene?
Oh yeah, the legs.
Yeah, it's. But did we not see hair color there? It was just the legs.
It was just legs. I
hair
think.
color could be nothing because that can be changed.
Yes.
That's like some long hair too, if that's the case.
It takes an assumption, though, on what the nature of Summer Glau's character is. I mean, we don't know for sure that she's a villain. We don't know that she's not actually just a hard but good person.
Mm-hmm. We don't know anything about her.
We don't know anything other than the fact that she boned Stephen Amell.
Yeah, and she wanted to take his company in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's it.
But again, there was nothing inherently good or evil about that either.
Nope.
So... I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was Laurel. Who wanted to shoot down the plane.
It was George Washington.
Yeah, it was a big stretch there.
Laurel.
It's certainly possible. I it's somebody we haven't encountered yet, but it's certainly possible. It's not a far stretch to think that. All right, what's next?
All right, Jonathan Rivera asks, will we get more Amanda Waller this season, or is she done for now? I'm going to say I think we will see her again before the season's over. I think they're heading in this whole one faction against another, group versus group kind of thing, and I wouldn't doubt if we saw her leading one of the groups.
I think we'll only see her if Diggle and Deadshot get into it, which I think is a high possibility.
I think we'll see her again by the end of the season. I don't think she's going to play a major factor this season, but I think we will see her again.
All right. Next question is from Jasmine Alvarez, who asks, do you guys think that the secret Sarah reveals to Oliver on the island in the next episode is that Laurel has a history with drugs? Which to the viewers is like, well, duh, we already know that because we've been seeing it.
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think so. I really think that the trauma of what happened with Tommy is what drove her to it in the first place. I don't foresee this being a... Look, if they did, it's a pretty uninteresting secret. I wouldn't care if they said, wait a minute, her big secret? I thought, her big secret is she used to fight crime as a teenager and she's got a secret lair. That's to find out, she used to do a lot of drinking and drugs.
Yeah, not to be a dick, but I think they have other things to worry about than Laurel's gossip.
Yeah.
Draven31 says Isabel's name was in his in Robert Queen's book. One of the names to check off. So going back to our previous discussion. Just wanted to say that.
I don't recall that, but I'll take your word for it.
Thank you for the tip.
I'll take your word for it, yeah.
All right. Mike the Film Guy asks, how long do you think it will take for Roy's powers to fully come around and he becomes Green Arrow's partner?
Once again, not convinced he's going to become Green Arrow's partner. I think he could either die, he could turn villain. I think there's a lot of different options here that I think a lot of people are just making this big assumption that this is the path that they're going to take the Roy character on. And I think that's a pretty wild assumption. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. But I also feel like it's a little too obvious. So I think it might be between now and the end of the season that we really find out what his destiny is. I still think the destiny is he dies, but it could be his destiny is to become a villain, to become another tool of Slade. It could be his destiny becomes to become a partner of Arrow, but I'm not convinced that's what they're going to do. It seems a little too obvious. And I don't think I want to see that happen, but it's possible. What do you guys think?
So wait, you just said you don't want to see that happen?
I don't want to see that happen now.
Wow, because I actually do want to see that happen because I know that Diggle's like Oliver's voice of reason, but he's not exactly his right-hand man. Like, they never go together. They rarely go together to fight. And I feel like Roy Harper would be that person for Oliver should he become who he's supposed to become. So I think it's going to be a slow-paced thing, and I think if it happens, it's going to happen towards the end of the season. Yeah. Ann?
Or just go to the next question.
Next question. Sorry, I'm trying to filter here. All right. Jonathan Rivera asks again, will Diggle die in the season at the hands of Deadshot? Will Diggle die is basically the question. I don't
think he will die.
Diggle won't die at the hands of Deadshot. Of that I have no doubt.
Man, I would be pissed if he died at the hands of Deadshot.
But will he die? It's that thing again. One of the things I love about this show is when they had the balls to kill Tommy, which none of us saw coming. But when they killed Tommy, they sent a very clear message. Don't get too attached to anybody in this show. Anybody can die. These characters are human. Yeah. They're not Superman. They're not Green. They're human. And Diggle got shot in tonight's episode. If he got shot, 8 inches one other way, he's dead. And I like that about the show. I will be pissed if they kill off Diggle. Mm-hmm. I love the Diggle character. But I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, well, they won't kill him. You know why? Because they killed Tommy. It means they can kill anybody at any time. Except for Oliver, I think anybody's fair game. And I'm nervous. So it keeps me nervous when I'm watching the shows. It always keeps me nervous.
I'm more inclined to say Diggle might get wounded somewhere. I think he's gotten wounded before.
Like 5 times
already.
Oh,
yeah. Diggle's the punching bag of this show. He totally is. He gets messed up all the time.
He's the Meg. Yeah. He's the Meg in the show.
He's the Meg. He's the Family Guy's Meg.
I thought maybe there was a chance so that they could create something like the effect they did with Tommy, but I have to think that the writers have hope in Diggle because thanks to you guys turned me on to the New 52, and they actually wrote Diggle's character into the New 52 series. He appears in issue 24, I think it is. So a little bit of hope because he's in the comic book that he will stay in the show. So we'll see. Ty Ingram, just a comment, says that they think that the legs could be Nisa Al Ghul.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, that's been brought up before too. Yeah, that's actually not a bad theory.
Good thought.
All right, so this question I think goes well with the promo that we saw. Kira asked, do you think Oliver has a chance against Slade? He could barely take street thug Grundy.
I have to say yes, because we have to believe in Oliver and Arrow, and that's going to be his arch nemesis. So I think it's going to be a prolonged season thing. It's not going to be just one season and it's resolved.
Well, and I've got to believe that at some point Oliver beats Slade on the island. Actually, and I believe Oliver already alluded to that. That he's beaten him once. He faced somebody with that on the island, and he beat him. I have to believe that's Slade. That's why he thinks Slade's dead. I believe Oliver believes he has already killed Slade. So can he beat him? Yes, he can. Oliver's only getting, in terms of powers. He doesn't have powers per se, but his powers as a superhero are only getting better and better. He's getting stronger and stronger. He's getting more and more powerful as a character. And we got to believe, I believe the show has alluded to the fact that he's beaten him once before. So yes, I would say he can beat Slade, but Slade can beat him too.
I think you have a point too, because Slade is trying to build like an army with this stuff.
Yes.
So that might mean that he is a little intimidated by Oliver and his growing power. So
right. Okay. Let's
More
take a few
questions?
more.
Nick D. Giacomo asks, what do you think Slade is going to do with the box of Mirakuru? Because he has it.
Give him safe passage.
He's going to give himself some Jaeger. Have a little party.
He's gonna. I think maybe he will be. He will find Ivo and inject him with all of the Mirakuru so that he dies.
Oh.
Say, you did this
That's
to me,
a
I'm going to do this to you.
Prediction.
Bold prediction. I like it. I like it.
All right, next question. Seth Brown asks, when do you think I always say this name wrong. Ra's al Ghul
Yep.
will be brought in the show?
I don't think this season. I think they've announced. I think he's going to be a ghost in many ways. He's just that he's going to be the boogeyman in the night. But I don't think we're going to see. If anything, maybe we'll see a glimpse of him in the season finale. But honestly, I don't think we're going to see him this season. I think that's a name you can. They've got so much going on in the show right now, between Brother Blood and just the League in general. And Slade, they've got so much going on. Ra's al Ghul is a name they can take and put in their pocket for a while and save that until later. So I'm not suspecting we'll see him this season. It's possible, of course, but they've got enough. They've got enough to work with this season, I think.
Are we going to see the daughter in this season?
Nisa?
Yeah, she casted to appear in this season?
Going to be in episode 13, so 2 episodes from now.
Okay. All right, question from Ross Arnold, who asked, since Ollie's arrows were having such a hard time getting through Grundy's skin, is it really realistic that the falling glass was able to penetrate Roy's skin so easily?
I think so, because Roy is still in the processing stages.
It's like vampire blood when it starts to go through
he's
you.
Still kind of, his body's still adapting to the serum, and was he fully injected? He was injected, but then I
think he got the full injection.
He had like 4 in his...
That's what she said. Yes. I think he got the full injection, but I don't know that Oliver's arrows were having a trouble penetrating
Grundy's?
Grundy. I just think that they weren't doing much to him, but I think they were penetrating him okay. Were they not, or am I not remembering that correctly?
He wasn't... I remember... I think they were penetrating him, but not like...
Hardly any
enough
effect.
to affect him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next question. Simply B asks, given your feelings toward Laurel this episode, can you see her becoming Black Canary now?
No.
My face.
The only reason any person could become Black Canary is because they spent 5 years isolated training with the League of Assassins. That can make you Black Canary. Just being hopped up on drugs and being a smart, cute lawyer chick and just go, I think today I'll be a superhero. And then, boom, you're Black Canary. That would be stupid. Absolutely stupid. stupid for them to do that.
And I also like where she's going with this episode, that she's more of a sleuthy character. I would love for her to be more in that capacity.
I agree. I agree completely. So unless the showrunners came up with a real, very convincing plot device to suddenly explain why this average, frail, 95-pound little weakling girl can suddenly become a stalker of the night and preying on the criminal element in the city without 5 years off in the wilderness with the League of Assassins, maybe. But no, to me, it's just a ridiculous proposition. I really hope they don't do it because it would be really... Have I mentioned that it would be stupid? I think it would be very, very stupid for them to do that. Unless they got some brilliant plot device in their brain somewhere, I just don't see it happening.
I have a lot of trust in the Arrow writers.
So do I.
That they are, if Laurel is going to be Black Canary, they are going to write the story so well that when she becomes Black Canary, you're going to be hoping that she's Black Canary like the season before she becomes it. That's how much trust I have in the writers. I think Andrew Kreisberg has in multiple interviews said that Laurel is Black Canary. So I don't see why he would be putting it out there if that wasn't the plan for her in the end. I'm not saying I want to see it in this season, but if it's going to happen, they're going to do a well enough job that we're going to laugh at this conversation we're having here when we didn't believe Laurel could be Black Canary.
Because here's part of my problem. I keep forgetting the name of the actress who plays Laurel.
Katie Cassidy.
Okay, what's her first name?
Katie.
Katie. All right, see, I'm sure Katie's a fine young woman, and I don't believe it's in any way sexist to say that if she were to come up to me and get in my face and say, I've got a problem with you, I could beat the crap out of her. I have no problem saying that. You can send her off to, I don't know, the best MMA training school for a year. I will still beat the crap out of her. You can send her to the best MMA training school for 2 years. I will still beat the crap out of her. Send her off to be trained by the League of Assassins for 5 years, then I am in danger of my life. Absolutely. But they're going to have to come up with something. So if they do go in that direction, they got to come up with something very special to convince me that this little 95-pound weakling little girl is now suddenly this badass of the night. No way. I don't buy it.
She gained 5 pounds in this conversation.
Okay, let's take 3 more questions.
I had a comment that I pulled out that was pretty funny. Mike Smith says that John kind of looks like Brother Blood.
No, he doesn't. That's funny.
All right.
Wait, with or without the skull mask?
Yeah, where's the skull mask in this
the
episode?
skull
Damn
mask.
it.
No.
Okay, Jack Gavin asks, what do you think the story is behind Diggle's brother? Because they talked about it in season 1, but then I guess they never went back to it,
Well,
right?
they kind of alluded to the fact that Deadshot killed him.
Right.
But then when they were in Russia, Deadshot said it's not all. It seems like it's not really that cut and dry. So the answer to that is I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm very yet another brilliant dangling story thread that they have that they can revisit whenever they want. This show is great at doing that.
All right, Dark Blue Productions asks, they have talked about how Felicity's backstory is planned out, but they don't have time yet to do it. What do you guys think Felicity's backstory is? Good question.
She was picked on when she was a kid, and then she started reading books, getting smart, becoming tech savvy, and there you have it, Felicity Smoke.
She never read a book in her life. She's been using a computer since she was 5.
I think she is a computer.
Maybe that's it.
She's a bot.
Could she be Oracle? I don't know.
Maybe she's Black Canary. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe she's a Mazo. All right. I think we've asked the majority of these without having to repeat some of our responses, to be honest with you guys.
Okay.
Lots of questions about when we'll see Canary and what's going to happen to Roy and so forth and so on.
Well, guys, then that will do it for us for this installment of the Arrow After Show. Thank you so much for joining us as we triumphantly, or we celebrate the triumphant return of Arrow after its mid-season break. But listen, the conversation doesn't end here. If you're watching us live, keep leaving your comments in the comments section. We read them all week. Like, we read all the comments you guys put in there all week. Or if you're one of the thousands of people that watch this after the fact, leave your thoughts, leave your comments. Like I said, we continuously read them all week. We love interacting with you guys. So by all means, leave your thoughts and your comments in there. So Kaori, where can people find you online if they want to reach you online?
You can find me right here, Kaorious.
And Ann, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Ann Campea.
And you can find me on all the various social media channels at John Campea. So I should point out again, just because some people still get confused, this is not an AMC show. I had one of the agents, actually, for one of the writers of Arrow, asked me, hey, do you want to have my client, one of the writers in Arrow, be on your show? I said, sure, just email me and him. And she emails him and says, hey, this is John. He wants to know if you want to be on his AMC Arrow after show. It's like, no, this is not an AMC thing. This is my own personal YouTube channel. This has nothing to do with AMC. So just want to be clear about that. But thank you guys for joining us. Had a lot of fun doing this. Hopefully next week I won't have such a bad cough. And I'll be a little bit more recovered. You're still doing it with me next week?
Oh, yeah.
So me and
Rock
Kaori...
it.
me and Corey will be doing it next week. And who knows, maybe Stephen Amell will be sitting in that third chair.
Sorry, Ann.
I don't know. He might not be as good as me, but whatever.
I'm sure he won't be as good as you.
No, she won't.
So thanks a lot for
He
joining
won't.
us, guys. Keep the conversation going. So until next time, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you guys later.